Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Teammates Podcast. We hope you've enjoyed the episodes so far, and today we have the pleasure of talking to former Green Bay Packer quarterback and current Detroit Lions quarterback, Tim Boyle. He is an amazing story of perseverance that I saw firsthand through his college days and now in the NFL. He is an incredible story that I think everybody can take away something from. He's a great player on the field, but an even better person and teammate off the field. Thank you for listening. Sit back and enjoy the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Teammates Podcast. We are now on episode 3. So I have the great pleasure to introduce one of my former teammates and good friend. His name is Tim Boyle, former quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, UConn Husky. He's been all over the place, but now he is a quarterback for the Detroit Lions, and we have the pleasure to have him join us today. Tim, thank you for joining us today. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, Nick. I appreciate you having me on here. I'm excited to talk.
Yeah, it should be fun.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it definitely has. I know.
I think the last time I saw you was 3 years ago in LA.
Yeah, that was. I think that was your first or second year with the Packers.
That was my second year in the league.
Yeah,
second year in the league, and I saw you after the game in the family section there. That was when the new facility for the Rams and the Chargers were getting built, so they play at that soccer.
Yeah, it was StubHub. Yeah, it was a little tiny stadium. I know you don't always have games down in my neck of the woods down here, so I had to get down there when you were down here. But so just for everyone to kind of get a little background on you, tell us a little bit about your growing up into sports. I know you've played football for a long time since you're a kid. You're Connecticut born and raised, so give us a little bit of perspective of where you come from.
Yeah, like you said, Connecticut born and raised. I'm one of 3 siblings. I have an older sister and a younger sister, and I would say that both of them are pretty competitive. And being around that environment, especially at a young age, was awesome for me. My older sister was really good at soccer and played basketball. She did crew in college, and my little sister was an incredible volleyball athlete. And dad wrestled, mom was an athlete. So we just it's been in the family, thankfully. But yeah, Connecticut, man, it's played youth football down in the shoreline in North Branford, and ended up going to Xavier High School, won a couple state championships, 3 state championships. Say a couple, I got to do them. Got to give them the. You got to give it to him. We did have a good 3 years there. And then, that's when I met you at UConn. And, it's kind of been an up and down story, my sport career. Thankfully for me, most of it has been up. But there have definitely been some dark years and some dark times that, you learn about yourself, and you lean on your loved ones.
Yeah, absolutely. So to stick in high school a little bit, Xavier High School, obviously you won 3 state championships. I mean, obviously a lot of success there. That kind of bolstered your name and to colleges and getting recruited and that whole thing. What about your high school football career, kind of looking back at it, stands out to you in terms of whether it was, being able to win, the things, the important lessons that you learned from there, now, being at kind of like at the top of the sport, basically?
Yeah. Looking back at my high school days, you don't really know, until you have, a clear, some hindsight. But,
right.
I lost 1 game in high school. It still completely chaps my ass, man. It really does. But yeah, and you said it well. I learned how to win. I had a really good team around me all 3 of those years, and a lot of really good players, really good coaches. So I can't take all the credit, but I learned how to win. I learned that edge, that mentality of, you step off the bus in high school and that you're going to go, kick some ass, and, the other team's a little bit intimidated, and kind of having that swagger and that confidence to you. That's something that Xavier instilled in me. And, I didn't really, looking back, always know what I was doing in high school. I just, right. The beauty of high school and kind of the simplicity of high school football is you just get to react, and there's not a whole lot of scheme. It's just, it's defense calls a play, offense calls a play, and, whoever has the best athletes, and, most of the time, the better quarterback wins. So thankfully I was able to see well enough in high school, but looking back, I mean, I just made some bonehead mistakes, and I threw some touchdowns that weren't supposed to be touchdowns. So
that's how it
you
happens.
you kind of reflect on your high school career, and you're like, wow, I mean, I was successful, but I didn't know half the stuff I know now, and I wish I could go back in my high school body and keep my mind as it is now, and go out and have some more fun. But yeah, it was a fun time. It really was. It taught me how to win. Some of my best friends, you know, still to this day are from Xavier High School, and you know, my leadership ability. I think I was voted captain, and just understanding the magnitude of my senior year of winning back-to-back state championships, and then having to inherit that. All right, here we go. Like, let's go win a three-peat, and we ended up doing it. So
yeah, and I mean,
it was fun.
And you know, coming into UConn, you know, I mean, you had some connections. I mean, you had Sean, you know, at Xavier. So kind of transitioning to UConn, I know you had a few different offers and you're trying to figure it out, but you ended up staying in state for basically the only football program around Connecticut. And how was that experience for you? Obviously, you were excited going in. It ended up turning into different coaching staffs and different offenses nonstop. You know, you getting thrown into the fire. Tell us a little bit about that transition for you to college football and, you know, UConn.
Yeah, that's the interesting part about the recruiting process is every freshman, you know, every new coming freshman thinks that they're the man because they're the captain of their high school team. They won a state championship. They got all these offers, and now you commit to, you know, an in-state UConn, you know, being the local kid and having some success, especially at Rensselaer. You know, I won 3 of my state championships at Rensselaer, and it was like, all right, good vibes. You know, we're coming to UConn. And yeah, it was tough, man. It's you know, I was there for 3 years, as you know, and I had, you know, some could say 3 head coaches, but most, you know, would say 2. I had 3 offensive coordinators, 3 quarterback coaches. So it was just kind of a carousel of just couldn't really get in the rhythm of playing quarterback there. And, you know, and talk about the dark days. Most of my tough football days have come when I was at UConn. And I think that is a testament to my family for keeping me kind of locked in during those times. Because it's a love-hate, as you know. Anything you love, there's always days where you feel it, and it's not giving the love back to you. But I definitely reflect on my time at UConn, and I think about all the ups and downs I went, and I think it's made me as resilient as possible. You know, just keep fighting when things kind of go the right way, when things go the wrong way. You know, I've had the extreme ups at UConn. I've had the extreme lows at UConn. You know, I won that game against Houston, you know, coming in for an injured Bryant Sheriffs. And, you know, I've also been on the other side as a true freshman throwing 4 interceptions. So you kind of have those ups and downs, but that's kind of what keeps you level as an athlete and as a quarterback. But, you know, that transition my junior year after that, you know, the bowl game, was a tough decision for me to transfer out. But when I look back, as I sit here as a 27-year-old adult now, my time at UConn, I met a lot of really good people, a lot of my good friends I stay in touch with, including yourself. And it's just being around as many coaches as I was around, I was able to understand a lot of different terminology when it comes to football. I was able to receive a lot of different coaching styles, which I think helps me out. But yeah, ultimately, I think it was best for me to transfer, and thankfully it panned out for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, geez, a lot of good points there. Some of your darkest times, but you know, when you look back at it, you realize that that's where you got that resiliency from, and you really, you know, learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about how to keep your confidence when, you know, things are really, really down. I mean, you know, we played on the scout team together, you know, when you got benched, and, you know, it was just back and forth, and you know, there was never anything that was, that you could really control there other than, you know, what you did and your actions you took after people made decisions, and even bad games. You know, you got to just lick your chops and lick your wounds and move forward. And you did have highs. I mean, the UConn versus Houston game was one in particular that, I mean, that was probably one of our biggest wins in a long time, right?
Agreed.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it was a fun one, and then all the fans came on the field. It was a special memory.
yeah, and I mean, that was definitely one of the biggest game memories that when I was there as well, and that was super special. I mean, I think was it the first quarter or something? You were forced in there because Bryant got hurt, and I remember Tommy also got hurt. Tommy Myers, a tight end in that game, early in the game as well, and it was just kind of a grind it out, tough it out. You know, we had some big plays that happened, and Houston was ranked 14th or something like that in the country, undefeated. That was the only game they ended up losing that year. They ended up beating a Florida State team that was ranked top 10 in the bowl game. So that was an exciting game. Do you think that helped anything with you at all, confidence-wise, or how was that game for you? Because it was mostly a lot of downs at UConn, and it was a roller coaster. But then, we have this high of making a bowl game, and you going in there like for pretty much the entire game and beating an undefeated ranked team.
Yeah, well, the interesting part is, as you said, freshman year, I come in, I'm the third string quarterback, and then back up, and then I start for 4 games my freshman year, and obviously I'm up here, like I'm through the moon. I can't wait to start, and it is a rude awakening. My freshman year, a lot of interceptions, not a lot of touchdowns. Same thing my sophomore year. Started a few games, a lot of interceptions, no touchdowns, and then my junior year, I'm in a possession battle and I lose to Bryant, and I'm the backup. And then I didn't get much play all year, and then the Houston game comes around, and all of a sudden, here we go.
Pandemonium.
I'm back. I'm back on my, I feel good about myself. We just beat a really good team. I didn't play very well that game, but it was just it was a great team win. And whenever you're surrounded with a team win that everyone was a part of, it just helps everyone's confidence.
Yeah.
So, fast forward to the next week, Bryant, I don't think was ready. I played at Temple coming off this huge win against Houston. And once again, kind of don't play as well as I should. So, you kind of have this internal battle of, I know I'm good enough. I know I have the talent. I know I have what it takes, but it's not showing on the field. And why is it not showing on the field? So I had a lot of reflection, trying to understand, what was I doing wrong? Was I not putting in enough work physically, emotionally, mentally on the preparation for the game? And, like you said, UConn was a tough battle for me. It really was. And for the way it ended, for us going to a bowl game because we beat Houston, we got 6 wins, and we ended up losing to Marshall in the bowl game. But that kind of sent me off on a positive note. The fact that I could be a part of a bowl game season, and I contributed to the season, it meant a lot to me. But like I said, I think it was time for me to kind of have a fresh start. Yep. I wanted a fresh start, and I transferred out.
Yeah, and before we transition over to you transferring to Eastern Kentucky, I do want to put out there that Tim, on the scout team when we played a lot together, he taught me a lot about the football in general, plays, the tight end position. I was, in a new position that I'd never played before, so I was learning a lot on the fly. And, I appreciate everything that he did for me when, he had so much tumult in his career, and he didn't have to be there for everyone learning things, but he was always there to help people along. And so I appreciate about that you a lot.
I appreciate you saying that, man, and that kind of goes back to the there's definitely a selflessness that has to be a part of being a quarterback. And whenever you see someone or a coach, just there's a level of accountability that you want the team to have. And I'm glad that you think that I was kind to you and took time to teach you certain things, because I wish someone did that to me. I wish there was a Chandler Whitmer who was above me, and he did this to me. But you got to pass it along in the sport. I think you got to give back to players. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but I'm sure that continues into the NFL in terms of guys you meet and people that really affect everything in your career. So we'll get into that a little bit later. So you end up transferring to Eastern Kentucky, and it changed your path, obviously. So how was that process for you? You ended up playing. You had to sit out a year, so you only had 1 year there. How did that transfer and that year there get you ready for what was to be your next steps of your journey?
Yeah, it was kind of a shot in the dark. At this point, you got to think about it. Think about it from my parents' perspective.
Yeah, wow.
I'm at UConn. I'm 50 minutes away. I'm not playing good football. I have good days and bad days. They understand. They see my frustration. My family saw my frustration all the time. And then all of a sudden, my junior year rolls around, and I want to transfer because it's best for my football career. My parents have to sit there and be like, "All right, sure, let's go do this thing. Let's go. Tim's going to transfer to follow his dream." And the fact that my parents and my sister supported me doing that was incredible, because looking back, I mean, if I had a son who was, in the headspace I was in, we'd have a serious conversation about it. But they knew that I had the ability. They knew that I had the fire in me still, and I wanted to go transfer. And I got there, and there's a transfer rule. So weird. They don't have it anymore. Yeah. Thankfully, the NCAA's kind of straightened out a little bit. But I had to sit out as a true senior. So I'm 22 years old. I understand what college is about, and I have to sit out, right? So I asked the coaches if I could be in meetings, game plan. I worked out all the time. So I had this year after UConn where I could just, I wasn't playing any football games. I was practicing. I was a scout team quarterback, but I had this fresh start. I had a clean slate. And going down to an FCS team, there's always this kind of, cool, oh, he's a Division I quarterback. He's coming down. He's going to be really good. So there's this kind of notion that I was always going to be this talented quarterback coming in. And I kind of like that, just whether it was subconscious or not, there's a dominant feeling like, all right, I'm going to go in here and dominate. So I sit out that my true senior year. And then, that year ends, and, it's my time to take the steering wheel. So I'm a fifth year senior, and, man, it was a lot of ups and downs as well. I was a starting quarterback, but, threw more interceptions than I did touchdowns. And that kind of seems to be the kicker for me in college was the interceptions. And the frustrating part was it wasn't even necessarily stupid interceptions. It was a screen pass. The running back tipped up in the air, defensive lineman caught it. It was just kind of some weird kind of, through a last end of the half Hail Mary that got intercepted. Just kind of one of those. So it's kind of skewed a little bit, but I learned how to recompete, and I learned how to be a leader again. And I felt like I was the captain of that team. I was the captain of that team. And EKU really set me off on the right foot, because I trained for pro day, and then, the rest is history. We had 8 teams come to our pro day, and thank God one of them was the Packers.
Yeah. I mean, that's those circumstances that you can't control. You really want to be able to control things like that, but you've just got to let it go. I mean, people are going to say what they want to say about, interceptions and everything like that. But, you're the one playing the game, and, you can just play the best of your ability and then hope for the best. So obviously pro day was kind of where you were able to make the leap to the next level. I mean, you are a pocket passer would be a good way to describe you.
Very well said.
But you ran a 4.75 at the pro day, which honestly I didn't even realize you had ran a 40 that fast. That was impressive. Clearly, you turned a little few heads at pro day, and obviously the Packers were one of those teams.
Yeah, pro day was a complete shift in my career. After my fifth year senior year, after my very average year, I was a big kid. I was 6'4", 235. I could run a little bit. Had a strong arm. It was just, I needed to put good film out there. And I put good enough film out there, I suppose, where I knew I'd get some interest, in free agency. And I went down to train in Washington, D.C., actually. And that's when I trained, 40-yard dash, broad jump, vertical, bench press. I benched at my pro day because I wanted something to stand out to the scouts. Yeah. And that's truly my mindset. I wanted something to stand out. And, pro day was a huge shift in my career, man, because I was, interceptions and not a lot of wins and kind of this ups and downs. And I had my pro day and I kill it. I run a 4.75. I, benched 16 reps, and I threw really well. And, I did good vertical at 35.5 35.5-inch vertical. So I was feeling good about myself. Then all of a sudden my agent calls me and says that the Green Bay Packers want to have you in for a visit. I'm like, whoa, Aaron Rodgers,
Yeah.
Super Bowls, playoff team. Like, wow, the Packers are interested in me. And from that point in my mind, I'm like, okay, let's go do this thing. Like, I can do this.
Yeah.
So the draft rolls around and, I don't get drafted, but, midway through the 7th round, I want to say, the Packers called and said, we're not going to sign you, in the draft, but we'd love to have you as a preferred free agent. So at that moment, I'm a part of the Packers organization as a quarterback who went through all these ups and downs and, played really well in high school and had this kind of edge to him in high school, and then kind of got humbled a little bit in college and transferred to kind of save my career and my dream. And then, all of a sudden my dream kind of comes true and the Packers signed me. So there's a pretty special video on, I think my mom posted on Facebook or Instagram of me kind of telling everyone what team I was on, but it was a dream come true. And, at that point, it was one of those, hey, if I could squeak, 1, 2, 3 years out of the NFL, like that'd be awesome. I'd make a little bit of money, play and make, but at this point in my career, I'm at a point where, I firmly believe that I belong here and I'm ready for the next step. And the next step is being a starting quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so, that's so going into it. You're like, can I actually do this? But then, you reaffirmed yourself, quickly. By the way, that video, I want to try to get that so I can play that for everyone watching. I'm sure that's a pretty special video.
It was a special moment.
Yeah. And so what was that first year transition for you like? So you kind of just believe in yourself that you're saying, let's do this thing. And, you're playing with house money, essentially. No one believes that you're going to do anything in the NFL. Aside from you and your family and everyone that knows you.
Yeah, it's the truth. Yeah, it's the truth.
So you're a huge underdog going into year one to even, compete in training camp, much less make the roster. So what was that transition for you like through training camp and, eventually making the 53-man roster?
Yeah, you want to talk about another clean slate being in the NFL. Guys could go look at my stats or whatever and kind of judge me based off my stats, but another clean slate. I'm in the room with arguably the best quarterback to ever play the position. I have 2 other quarterbacks along with him. So I'm, number 4. I get 0 reps in OTAs. I get very minimal reps in training camp, and Deshaun Kaiser and Brett Hundley are battling out essentially for backup. And if I play well enough, maybe I could squeak on the practice squad.
Yeah.
And if I play really well, maybe they could sign me as the, 3rd string quarterback for, the 53-man roster. And thankfully, preseason rolls around and I played really well. And I had good camaraderie with the guys that I was out there with because I was playing, 3rd, 4th quarter, snaps. And I played really well, thankfully. And, it's a story of me taking advantage of my opportunities. And I threw touchdown passes, and I think I threw 1 interception, maybe 2. But it was just one of those feelings where things were just going my way. And I was, seeing the field well. I was completing the ball. I felt like I was on time. I knew what I was doing. I was surrounded by one of the best ever play. It was just one of those really cool situations. And I instantly fell in love with Green Bay. And thankfully, they decided to keep me on the roster my rookie year, 53-man roster. I only dressed for 1 game, but I was on the 53-man roster all year. I made the team. And you want to talk about an absolute celebration. I was in the hotel room when I found out. My parents were flying back and I couldn't even call them, but it was emotional. It was a dream come true because, you think about all these ups and downs I've been through, and I can sit here and tell you that there have been good days, bad days, and really bad days. And for all to pay off, it was emotional for me and my family because they invested so much of their time and emotional energy into it, and for them to see it pay off and for them to see me accomplish one of my dreams, it was special. And every time I go on the field, every time I practice, I always think of my family because that's the exact reason I do it, and I would not be here without them. But yeah, you go through UConn, you go through EKU, and then all of a sudden you're on this championship level, Green Bay Packers team, and I'm second in line to Aaron Rodgers. Is kind of a surreal experience. But yeah, my rookie year was pretty much all about keep my ears open and my mouth shut. I just wanted to kind of be a fly on the wall and kind of, listen and understand what was going on and understand what the NFL was about, and understand what Aaron saw and what Aaron wanted to do. And my rookie year, I was kind of quiet, and I kind of just listened and sat back and watched, and gave me a good sense for the NFL, and it kind of led me into year 2.
Yeah, and I'm sure you were grateful to have the opportunity to do that. And there was something about your first couple preseasons that you just lit up somehow. Like what gave you the confidence to just go in there? I mean, you played free clearly, and things clicked for you. But after things not clicking for such a long time, right? I mean, and then you get to the Green Bay, and in preseason, the year 1, you play well enough to make the 53-man roster. Year 2, you play well enough to earn the backup job. Yeah. And I mean, how'd you get that confidence in preseason to just, go out there and let it fly? Maybe it was, just that you're playing with house money, and everything. It doesn't really matter whether you succeed or not. You're already here. You might as well give it a shot.
Well, and that's the thing is you kind of have that mindset of, all right, well, I'm here. But it kind of clicked for me, especially going into year 2. Like, I didn't come this far to only come this far. Let's go do this thing now. I'm here. I just made the roster, and now they openly told me that I have a backup job. That the backup job to Aaron is a position battle between me and Deshaun Kaiser. And I'm like, all right, here we go. I gotta do everything I can. And that off season, that OTAs, training camp, preseason, I felt like I was really. The interesting part about college is you have papers, you got homework, you have this huge game plan that goes into a football game. In the NFL, it is my job. I have nothing else to do. I have to learn and understand what I'm doing, and learn and understand who I'm doing it against. I don't feel like most college players and college teams do it as aggressively and heavily that NFL teams do. So I connected with the fact that I could dive into our game plan. I could feel comfortable about it. I can understand what they're going to do, and I have a plan versus everything. So it kind of clicked, and I was throwing accurate balls. I was throwing touchdowns, and fortunately they gave me the backup job to Aaron my second year in the NFL. And you want to talk about even crazier than slipping on the 53-man roster? Your rookie year is the next year is backing up the best quarterback in the NFL. So it was cool, and it was a pretty quick transition. It went from high school confidence is here, and UConn's down here, and there's a little blip, but it's down, and then EKU I'm kind of hovering, and then it's like Green Bay, and then I'm here, and then it's Green Bay, I'm back up, and it's just it's incredible. It really is. And it's a story of taking advantage of your opportunities, and thank the good Lord that I have taken advantage of my opportunities.
Yeah, it's absolutely about that. Like you said, you didn't come this far just to come this far. You've been playing the sport since you were so young. Might as well, get as far as you can and keep going. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
I'm not going to stop playing. Someone's got to tear me away.
Exactly. And so, you earned the backup role, and so you're a little more comfortable knowing you can play with these guys, and you can play and be an NFL quarterback. So having someone like Aaron Rodgers as the person you're backing up, how did that relationship with Aaron, being in the same quarterback room? I'm sure your friendship grew over time, and then it kind of became a little folklore. Seeing you guys messing around in training camp with photos, and obviously he's a funny guy, and you guys connected really well. So how did that connection help you?
Yeah, it blossomed after my first year. My first year, like I said, I was kind of just I don't want to say like as blunt as this, but I was kind of just there. I contributed, and I was there, but knowing what I do now, I just kind of sat there and I just listened, and I wanted to understand. And I was strategic, but going into year 2, and I think once they released Deshaun and I was like the backup, is when Aaron and I really got really close. And most people don't know this, but I spend more time with the quarterbacks in the Lions, and I spent more time with Aaron than I do my own family. So, I'm around him for hours on end, all day long, every day. And you kind of understand what makes him tick. And you understand that he's a regular human being, just like I am, and his interests are very similar to mine. And we got into conversations, and we got close. And Aaron was instrumental with my development as a quarterback. Just being able to pick his brain from a football standpoint, but also just comfort of being able to talk to him and joke around with him. Like you said, wrestling and joking around, and him, bullying me and me trying to get back at him. It was an awesome relationship. It was an awesome friendship that we had, and we continue to have, which I'm very grateful for. But Aaron's a huge reason as to where I'm at right now, because he genuinely took me under my wing, and he did not have to do that. Being a 36, 37-year-old man, and all of a sudden there's a 22, 23, 24-year-old in your room, there's a disconnect. But Aaron is a special human being, and I think he's a little bit misunderstood because people don't know him. For the people who have the pleasure of knowing him and being around him, I can confidently sit here and tell you that he is a wonderful person with a good heart, good teammate, and a great player.
Seems like it. Yeah, it seems like it. And obviously his knowledge of the game and, everything you're able to soak in of just how he does things, in addition to him actually, bringing you in and being there and helping you push you forward as well. That's awesome. And then, you opened up a little bit. I had read a couple stories about, you starting to like decorate the quarterback room and different things like that.
Yeah, that was like rookie duties, my rookie year. That was Halloween was great, and Christmas I completely went overboard for Christmas. I love Christmas,
I do too.
And I wanted it to feel very Christmassy in there. So I went over the top, got a tree, lights, everything,
Love it.
Candy, and it was a fun time.
Love it. That's awesome. So you're there for 3 years was total, right? 3 years,
yeah.
With the Packers, and so now you kind of get your shot at, becoming your own quarterback in the league. So you signed with the Detroit Lions last season. You kind of get hurt a little bit early, so that's a little tough start to it. But you do end up starting a couple games last year. So how was that, getting a shot on a new team, new environment, and then eventually going into your first starting action in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, the thought process of going to Detroit starts with the fact they drafted a first-round quarterback my third year, Jordan Love,
right.
And I ended up being the backup quarterback that year. But the writing at that point's on the wall when you have a first-round quarterback that not that year necessarily, because it was a COVID year and you didn't really have a lot of time to prepare. But the next year I was probably going to be gone because,
right.
They have to develop him, and he's going to be the backup, and he's got to do essentially what I've been doing with
yep.
Aaron
yep.
and learning from him. So
yep.
At that point, the writing was on the wall that I probably was not going to be back with the Packers. And, fortunately the Lions were interested early, and, signing day a few years ago was interesting, just kind of receiving and calls from different teams and understanding offers and, best situation where I can go in and play. But also I wanted to, being a backup for 2 years, and, I wouldn't say 3, but a true, number 2, I think that was my minimum job. I'm a backup quarterback at least in this NFL. So I wanted to go to a spot where they valued me as a backup quarterback. And they signed me to a 1-year deal for, way too much money. And I said, yes, I'll 100% come. So, you fast forward a few months, and I'm a Detroit Lion, and, I'm in a room with Jared Goff now and David Blau. And, it's an awesome group that we have. We all get together and we all have a lot of fun together, but it's interesting seeing the shift. I've never obviously been with one team in the NFL before the Lions, and just understanding the culture and the expectation from one place. And then you have a new head coach who's trying to implement, because I was there for, Matt LaFleur's first year, and he tried to implement his kind of scheme and,
right.
The way he wanted to play football. And then I saw Dan Campbell come in and do it. And it was cool to see 2 really cool head coaches, really successful head coaches come in and kind of, I being able to see that twice was cool. Being a part of a first year NFL coach was cool. But yeah, I absolutely love Detroit. I love this team. And, ultimately, when it comes down to the position I'm in now, it's about longevity and
yeah.
trying to stay in the league as long as you can. And, I think with Detroit, I could do that. Last year, I went as the backup, like you said, broke my thumb in the third preseason game. So, out half the year on IR, and kind of had surgery on my thumb and rehabbing it. And, I can report here that we're good to go. We're back in business. But yeah, I come off IR and I had my first start against Cleveland, and what an eye-opening experience. And then, you fast forward a few weeks and I got Atlanta, where I felt like I played really well. I saw the field really well, just made a bonehead interception late in the game that cost us the game, that still sticks with me today and is a great learning experience. And then, Seattle, and, their offense just got on us early, and we were playing catch up from, I think, the first quarter on. So kind of a rude awakening for me in the NFL, but I feel confident moving forward because I have a really good plan for what I bring to the table as a quarterback, how I see the game. And to be quite honest with you, I feel a lot healthier with my thumb. Back when I played, I probably wasn't at 100%, but I'm feeling really good right now. So I feel like my next opportunity, I'm going to be good to go.
Yeah, and I mean, you looked awesome in the Atlanta game. I know you were just thrust into the the Browns game. Albeit with a still trying to get 100% thumb, you ran the offense really well. I know that was kind of a grinded out type of game.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, the Falcons. Then you have your first touchdown pass, which was, I'm sure, was cool to.
It was cool, yeah.
To get that,
and David made sure that he got the ball for me, and they gave it to me, so I got it back in my room in Connecticut. So it's that was a nice gesture.
Great, yeah. I mean, that only happens once, so that's awesome. You got that. So I mean, you must have a little bit more confidence now going back, and obviously you signed another contract with them to come back, and you have a little bit of confidence in your abilities, and you have starting experience now. So that was a good thing to take away from last year. So how do you feel going into this next season? Obviously, it seems like Dan Campbell, I mean, he's a very seems like a funny guy, but seems awesome like you guys
awesome coach
rally around him very well.
Dan's an awesome coach. He is so authentic and so unique, and he says what's on his mind, which is so incredible. And you don't always get that in the NFL. You got a lot of bells and whistles and smoke and mirrors, unfortunately, in the NFL, but Dan's a straight shooter, and that's why we love him. We absolutely love Coach Campbell, and our offense coordinator, who just got promoted, Ben Johnson's been doing an awesome job. And we love our quarterback coach, Mark Brunell. You guys probably know he played in the league for 19 years. He's our quarterback coach. He's a wealth of knowledge to have in the quarterback room, which has been great. But moving into year 2 with Detroit, there's a whole nother thought process. It's my introduction to the NFL from a playing standpoint is over. There are no more second chances. In my mind, I just signed my second chance contract. So opportunity presents itself. I need to continue to play better and learn from my mistakes and play better. But moving forward, my expectation is way higher than it was last year. I didn't really understand what it meant to go out there and play against a legit defense and go try to win a football game, but now I do, and I kind of have a different mindset. So I'm excited to go back in for OTAs and training camp and compete and just understand the offense, because I have a new offense. Nothing's really changed for me since leaving high school. I mean, I've had 10 offenses in almost 11 years. So it's fun. I love it. This is my job, and I love being in Detroit. I love the guys. There's definitely more camaraderie. There's more familiarity, and I love the guys we have in the locker room. And I think we just had a really good draft, which will help.
Yeah, you guys did. You did have a great draft. You got Jameson and Hutch.
Jameson and Aiden. Yeah, it's gonna be a good little first round duo there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I mean, learning so many offenses, I can't say there's like a bunch of guys that have learned that many offenses. I mean, maybe Ryan Fitzpatrick, but I mean, you're just learning new terminology. I'm sure you can connect the dots in some places, but some things are probably like way different, and then some certain things are similar. How do you connect the dots?
It's interesting to see offensive coordinator, what their bread and butter is. And I very rarely stumble upon a new concept that I haven't seen, just because for my freshman year of college, we were running an NFL type system. Right. So you understand all these different concepts, but they're just called different things. And that's kind of the frustrating part, is having to unlearn terms that you have already solidified in your head that now means something way different. So you have to unlearn and then relearn, which takes a little bit of time, just repetition. I have my I got my trusty flashcards here, and just kind of go back and forth, just quizzing myself. And my girlfriend's been unbelievable, helping me study as well. She understands the grind of trying to learn a new NFL offense. But yeah, it's been, honestly, as much as it's a negative, that I've had so many offenses. I'm lucky to say I have, because I understand an offense.
Yeah.
I understand what we're trying to attack. Like I said, most concepts are the same. It's just what you call it. It's all the terminology.
Yep.
It's but yeah, it's been fun, and I've been around a lot of different coaches, which has been cool too, and how they teach different concepts. I've just been able to hear pretty much every version of how you can run this play and why you want to do it. So I have a pretty good grasp of football, thankfully, just because of all of those offenses. So I think it helped me out.
Definitely. Yeah, it's definitely, although it seems like a bad thing, it gives you a lot of experience and a lot of points to reference off of, in real time as you're moving forward. So,
I would say it's more annoying and time consuming to learn it, but I'm happy to learn it.
Right. 100%. Yeah. So, all right. So we're moving on to the next segment that I'm calling the big questions. So what has been the toughest part for you of this journey from, being a kid to the NFL? It could be any specific part of it, or what's kind of like your biggest takeaway that's been the toughest?
The toughest thing in my football career since I was a little kid to right now has been my inconsistency playing quarterback, but also knowing that I have potential to be a legitimate starting NFL quarterback. That has been a mental struggle for me for a while. I know I can do this. I'm big, strong. I can throw it. I can see the field. I know what's going on, but it doesn't always show on the field. And that's been frustrating for me because, a lot of that has to do with timing, what team you're on, the players around you. I mean, there's so many different factors that go into that. But as I sit here and reflect on my football journey, the hardest thing that I've had to overcome, which I thankfully have overcome, has just been the ups and downs of the mental beating that I've taken from coaches and the social damage that I've, the death threats at UConn and it's crazy. They're just, it's crazy.
Remember that.
It's crazy, but it's, the hardest part has been trying to navigate myself through this, this windy road, climbing to where I'm at, but just, it might look good on paper. I play in the NFL, but this has been an absolute grind. It's been a grind. And that's why I'm so appreciative of my family and my girlfriend now and the people who have supported me, because it takes a village. Yeah.
I mean, seriously. And that obviously that's a tough part, but clearly it's made you become, a better man, a better person, understand things well, have closer, great relationships with people because you appreciate the people that are actually there for you. And
that's well said. It gives me a greater perspective on what we're actually doing here. And I understand that football is what I do. It's not who I am, but it's relationships. It's understanding that there is a bigger component to just playing football. And that has to do with the people you meet, how you treat people, how you're remembered as a teammate, as a person, and having that perspective has definitely changed my life.
That's it. And I mean, that's perfect transition into, you talk about your family a lot. I know they're very important to you. I saw some funny, pictures of, them at games, with the 8 on the shaved chest. That's pretty funny.
Oh yeah. That was my cousin.
Yeah. So
it was incredible. That's a lot of commitment.
Yes. Seriously. How has your family been an influence on your success? I know you were able to, eventually have some really good highs and, hearing that you've made the roster, and then, you surprised your parents with the Hawaii trip. I mean, that must have been pretty cool, those moments.
Yeah. Yeah. I have, the cool part about technology nowadays is that you get memories on Snapchat. You have videos from freshman year of college, and there were days where I was miserable and they had to deal with me. And when my mood was down after a football game, my dad kind of fed off it because he was bummed too. And it was just like this collective, like, this is overwhelmingly bad. And as much as they were there for me and they were there for me, it was not easy for my parents. It was not easy for my sisters. And I remember vividly having a conversation with my older sister when I was in the thick of UConn. And they were like, yeah, when you play, like it's kind of brutal being in the stands. Like people don't know that we're your family and they just say reckless stuff.
Yeah.
And that made me understand what my family also goes through too. Like I represent my family, and it's a heavy weight to put on yourself, but I now love it because as much as I took them through this journey with me, my journey right now is only doing this. And I am so glad that I get to take them along with it because my parents have gone to majority of my games in the NFL. They travel to stadiums. They go to these cool hotels. They love Green Bay. They always used to go to Lambeau. They love coming to Ford Field, and they now get to go on this really cool, special journey that I'm on now too. And I'll be damned if they don't go on it with me because I'm doing what I'm doing right now because they allowed me the opportunity to do this. And a part of me feels like I have to pay them back. I know I don't have to, but for them to be the people they are in the supportive role that they were in, it is my honor to bring them along with this journey and throw them the occasional surprise vacation because they've invested a lot. You know, they sent me to a private high school. They put me through camps. I mean, they financially invested in me as well, and I think it's time for me to financially invest in them.
Yeah, that's well said, and yeah, it makes you appreciate the little things along the way, and you know that they were always there for you in the extreme highs and extreme lows. And I mean, obviously you wouldn't be where you are today without them. So, that's awesome to hear. And the next question branching off that is, this is the Teammates podcast. So what does being a good teammate mean to you? Obviously you've had some great teammates in the NFL that have, very positively affected the trajectory of your career. And then along your way, at least, I know you as one of the greatest teammates that I've been around. So what does being a good teammate mean to you?
First, thank you for saying that. And second is kind of a twofold answer. And there's this dynamic of you have to be able to be one of these guys and go in the locker room and shoot the shit with these guys and play ping pong and do whatever. And but there's also a level that I feel in my heart that I have to portray as a teammate of like asking guys how they are and getting to know them personally and their families. And I think once you have that connection, because it's a great question. Like, what is a great teammate? Because I think that there's a guy's guy, like, go out to a bar and, drink beer and laugh and make fun of each other. And, that's how you build camaraderie, but also, taking a guy aside and asking how they're doing, how's your daughter doing? How's your mom doing? And how's your girl? Are you going to get engaged? And like, there's these small questions that just link a pair of people together. And, I think a teammate, I want to be remembered by someone my teammates, for someone who cared about them, cared about the game. And ultimately, I think that's what it's about. I want them to understand that I'm a good person. I care about them, but also held them accountable when it came to football, because I think that's what we're here for. It's our job. And I'm tough on some guys, but I think once you build that bridge of, shooting the shit with them and being the guy's guy and also caring about them, then you have a little bit more, say when you do get after them a little bit, and they can respect you more and they listen to you.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a great answer. That empathy and caring for them as a human being and realizing, they're like you said earlier, you're not just a football player. You do play football, but
we're human beings, baby. We're human beings.
That's it. Yeah, that was a awesome answer. All right. So final segment is just quick Q&A. We'll have some questions thrown your way, and we'll get some answers. All right. Favorite sport and why?
Non-football, we're gonna go golf because it is so challenging. I love playing it and love watching it.
Love golf too, and obviously Aaron's a pretty renowned golfer by now.
Aaron's a legit golfer, and I've gone golfing with him probably 4 or 5 times, and it is impressive to watch in person. So I can't even imagine going out and golfing with a true professional.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I love golf too. It's a challenge, and it keeps you on your toes. And I mean, it's a.
What do you got? Mid 80s? You cracked the.
Yeah.
Mid 80s?
Yeah.
Maybe a little lower.
Yeah, I'm probably low 80s. You know, I mean,
Good for you.
If I practice, but I mean,
Good
a bad round would be in the 90s, but my average round's low to mid 80s.
Good for you.
Where are you at?
A good day for me. A good day is probably high 80s.
Okay.
I just don't, and that's the weird part about my off season is in season you can't play any golf, and then all of a sudden January rolls around and that's your off season. But I'm in New York City, can't play any golf until it gets warm out, and then I start playing golf when I come to Detroit. So I've been playing a few rounds here, and I'll steadily get better. And then the summer comes around in training camp, and then there's no more golf. So it's just this weird. I get better. You know, thick of summer, I might be shooting an 82, 83.
Yeah,
and then I come back 6 months later, I'm shooting a 99.
That's how I feel too, because I know it's been 4 or 5 months, then I'm like, damn, I haven't been out there. And then the score reflects that. So, we'll definitely get out there sometime.
I would love that.
Favorite player growing up that made you want to play?
Oh, Tom Brady, 100%. That was the quickest answer ever. I was a huge Tom Brady fan growing up. I was a huge New England fan growing up. You know, he won a Super Bowl when I really started getting into to football. So that was a fun time to be a Patriots fan. And, he was growing up my role model for sure.
Absolutely. And it must be a little funny for you to think about now, all those the real TB12 comparisons and things like that.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. I remember growing up and watching him play for New England. And then my rookie year, we played him at New England on a Sunday night game. And it was so cool. It was so cool.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously he's still, doing it to this day.
We'll see. I mean, I know he's back, but you never know. You never know.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, obviously he, is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And obviously New England, Connecticut, that's New England territory. So I know.
It was awesome. It was a great time to be a Patriots fan.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so you might have a couple here. You can feel free to throw out a couple of favorite stadiums you've played in.
Favorite stadiums I played in, Seattle is really cool. I like playing at Seattle. It's so loud. Dallas is really cool. It's just so big. And back to the UConn days, we used to play where the Bucks play right now, out in Tampa.
Raymond James.
It's cool, just a cool place to play. The fans are cool, and the little Buccaneers, the pirate ship they have there is pretty cool. But and I always like playing at Gillette just because I grew up there and went to games there. And I think we're going there this year, so I'm excited to see.
Yeah, that's exciting for sure.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, you get to see a lot of different things, a lot of different places, fan bases.
I'd be remiss if I said not Lambeau.
And
like Ford Field is obviously awesome inside, but Lambeau is just so historic.
Yeah, I mean, they're both cool fields, different in their own remarks, and Lambeau's historic. Yeah,
Agreed.
and I just had Tyler on the last episode, and that's kind of funny, the overlap there. And now he's with the Packers, and I mean, obviously,
I'm so happy for Tyler, man. Tyler is a special human being. He played quarterback. I don't know if your viewers know that he played quarterback with me, and I'm so proud of where he's at right now.
Different journey, but I mean, look at you guys. All right, 100%. So teammates in the NFL. It doesn't have to be a favorite teammate. It just maybe a teammate with an interesting story or some sort of.
Someone who I can respect their story is Rob Tonyan, tight end for the Packers. He grew up playing quarterback. Wasn't good enough to play quarterback in college, so they moved him to receiver. Wasn't good enough to play receiver in the NFL, so they moved him to tight end. I'm just giving him some shit right now. He's an incredible athlete, and he's got a great head on his shoulders. And my first year in Green Bay was technically his second year in the league, but he was kind of on practice squad, so we kind of came in together and formed a really cool bond. And I threw a touchdown pass to him, I think on the last preseason game, my rookie year. It kind of both put us into this spot of being on the 53-man roster.
Yeah.
And him and I have been really good friends since, but I respect his story, very similar to mine, of different positions. And, he's had to transform his body from being a quarterback, maybe at 210, 215 to all the way up to 250. And, being able to catch the ball, and just the fact that he's going on his, I think his third contract now is awesome. Hopefully next year he gets paid really well. So I'm proud of him. He's been a really good friend of mine, and definitely a top 5 teammate for sure.
Yeah. And, it's interesting because Tyler did, a similar thing of transition to quarterback to tight end specifically. And I mean, obviously, Robert Tonyan probably most people listening and watching know who he is. I mean, he's turned into an amazing player for them, and hopefully he's back to full strength this year. After getting injured.
I hope so too.
So a couple more. Favorite TV show? Anything that you're or movies? Not big into TV.
I'm okay on it. I've watched The Office probably 8 times because I'm obsessed with The Office. I'm rewatching Blacklist with my girlfriend right now. I love Blacklist. Okay. I love me some Raymond Reddington.
Okay.
James Spader is a top 5 actor for me, but I'm not huge on TV. I in my downtime, especially in the off season right now, like I'll finish studying and I'll throw an episode or two and relax, just get my mind off things. But I'm not huge on TV, but I definitely would say The Office sticks out. My Office, I'm obsessed with The Office.
I love it. You guys did you guys dressed as Office characters when you were in Green Bay, didn't you?
We went to a Halloween party, and me and Lucas Patrick, another one of my favorite teammates, who just signed with the Bears. He dressed up as Daryl from The Warehouse, and I was Dwight.
That's right. Yeah, I remember seeing that photo. That was awesome. I'm a big Office fan myself too. So I mean, it's just it's timeless.
It was good.
Yeah,
it was good.
Timeless. So last major question after football. God willing, you're gonna keep your trajectory going up and have a long career. What piques your interest in doing things after football? Is it coaching? Is it business? What are your thoughts?
This is another two-parter. There's a path where I play for another 10 years and I have a lot of money in the bank, and I kind of get to do now what I want to do without having to think about money, which should be, God willing, incredible.
Awesome.
But there's another route where I don't play for as long, and I don't like even saying I'm going to play for this or this. I'm just kind of going with the flow, and I'm expecting to play for a while, but if I have to go back into the workforce and make a living for my family, I think being an athletic director would be really cool. I've met a bunch myself. I feel like I have a pretty good network of people I know, and I have to go back to school and get my master's, which is not a huge deal. But I think being around sports and having some job security would be great. I think coaching college and the NFL is just tough because you don't really know where you're going to be. You're picking up, you're going to California, then Massachusetts, then Florida. It's tough on a family.
Yeah.
But 100%. The other part of that question, if I get another 10 years in me and I feel like I'm financially set, I would love to be, a local high school football coach and be a dad. I'd love to be a dad and raise my kids and be there for my family. And that would bring me the most joy in my life.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. I know. I mean, there's something special about the high school system. I mean, I do a little bit of coaching here at my high school. I mean, it's not my main thing because I got to build myself up too, just like you are now. But yeah, down the road, I mean, I 100% agree with that. It's special, and being around family and doing what your dad did for you, that type of stuff.
100%. And giving back to the sport is important for me, and passing along my woes and my successes and making other people better because of it. Absolutely.
Well, we are going to wrap up here. It's been an awesome hour. Everyone listening, we want to thank Tim for coming on and wish him a great season coming up. Any type of plugs you want to plug in? I know you're not a big social media guy. You got an Instagram.
I actually just got rid of my Twitter. I'm not really on Facebook. I'm barely on Instagram. I'm kind of doing a social media cleanse, which has been wonderfully refreshing because everyone and their mother seems to have a little bit of negativity in them recently, which I am not a fan of. So I'd rather just stay clear of it and talk to the people who are interested in talking to me, like yourself. And I appreciate you reaching out and making the effort to do this. It's been a few years, but it's good to see you. You look good. You look fit, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I know. I'm in the other realm of sports, so I'm like, working on doing my next half marathon and stuff like that too. So
good for you. Best of luck to you as you achieve that goal. That's incredible.
Appreciate it. Yeah. So thank you everyone for listening to the Teammates podcast. Thanks for Tim for being here, and we'll see you in the next one. Wow, what an awesome episode. Huge thanks to Tim for taking the time to talk to us. What an inspirational story, huh? I mean, if that doesn't get you excited about what you're doing, then I don't know what will, because that fires me up, and his perseverance and the way he fought through so much adversity along the way, and naysayers and people telling you no the entire way, and still fighting through it with a positive mindset. He's an inspirational person, and I'm super thankful that we got to talk to him. So thank you guys so much for watching episode 3 of the Teammates podcast. The next guest will be announced on our Instagram page. If you don't follow already, at Teammates Podcast on Instagram. You can find us on TikTok, all the different platforms. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. YouTube, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The episodes will be coming out every 2 weeks. Hit that thumbs up button, and it really helps us grow the podcast. Thank you.